What's up, everybody? I'm Thomas J. Bellezza, and welcome to The Right Mindset. Today is Sunday, the 22nd, which means that we are officially in the Right With Me series. This is video episode number 24, Concept to Conception. We are going to continue working on the sci-fi first-person book. And ultimately what we're doing is we're showing you the behind the scenes of what's happening, why it's happening, and obviously you could ask questions while I do the process. We've been doing this for quite some time now, 24 weeks. That's almost half a year worth of writing where we only do one day at a time. Okay, so 24 days. Actually, 24 days would be a month of writing, but we've been doing this for almost a half a year. I'm pretty excited about that. We are kicking some butt. What's up, Cindy? How's it going today? What's up? All right. Hello, hello, hello. You might be the first one here today. That's a lot of fun. Okay. So as I was saying, today we are going over the we're going to be writing a book together as we always have. And let's get the screen going on up to the top. We finally found a reason why. Boop. Put me up here. Boop. Heading into days after nights. Oh, the switch of the shift. That's always fun. You gotta enjoy what you do when you do it. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you could be here. I'm glad you get to jump in on time, and we get to have some fun together. We've been working on chapter 4 for anyone who's been paying attention. If you haven't, basically what I'm doing is I go over the process. So this is what I do real quick. We've already brainstormed. We did the character arcs, which is a lot of fun. I enjoy that part. The short form outlining, which is very broad general ideas, and then the extended outline. Then we take that and we place it into a new file, and we start our zero draft, which allows us to beat out the rhythm of the extended outline into chapters. This is where we start deciding how long a chapter is, if we need to break up a chapter. So where we are, I'm setting the rules for myself. We're using the 27 plot point outline, and my goal is to make a chapter per plot point. But as we do the zero draft, we start discovering if a chapter should be 2 chapters or 3 chapters or whatever the point is. So far, right now, we're doing pretty good. What's up, Flowers? That's very nice of you to show that. What are you not telling me? But I love chickens. But anyway, so yeah, today we are on the 4th chapter. It looks like chapter 4 is going to be its own single chapter, so that's pretty good. How do I know if that's possible? Well, I have this other sheet that we fill out occasionally, and this gives us a number representation. So far, the zero draft has been looking like this. Yeah, that's correct. All right. We're at 6,600 words for the zero draft, so that's looking pretty good. But the reason I keep track of my numbers is because, as you can see, the first chapter is not even 2,000 words, so that's a pretty tight chapter. But by the time I start adding immersion in the first chapter, or a little bit more, we start working on the prose, one might say, it's going to get a little thicker. This chapter could end up being 4,100 words. And how do I know that? Because I have a formula over here, as you can see, which automatically adds a percentage to the zero draft number, and that comes out to 4,100. Chapter 2, on the other hand, though, we're looking at maybe 2,400, so that's good. So that shows me a rhythm. That's helping me understand the potential for chap pacing. So if you have like 5,000 word chapters and like 3 of them in a row, that's going to slow down your pacing. But this is basically a pretty thick chapter, and then we're down a little. We're halfway the same, right? So that means, all right, we're creating a rhythm now. And then we go up a little bit. It slows down a little bit because more happens in the action. And then right now we're at a very short chapter, but honestly, let's see what happens with chapter 4 in itself. We're still working on it. If you have, and I already set, because I know we're going to get to chapter 5 today, I already set up the file. If you have any questions with what I'm doing, please ask questions. If you have questions about your own writing, I'm a developmental editor and a writing teacher, so feel free to ask questions about your own stuff. I'll be happy to answer that. You are not distracting me. It's okay for me to jump to the side or the left and really talk about it. All right. You said the hand was more chickeny. Oh, couldn't find a chicken. A chicken. Well, Turkish coffee. All right, so let's get into it. Where's my drinkage? I gotta get a drinkage in. All right, let's do this. We wrote a lot out for chapter 4. We ended over here, and now we're on this last little beat. But let me just make sure we ended. He asks more about the ship, trying to reassure her and have empathy, asking if the ship will make it to the next stop for her to deliver her products after she drops them off somewhere. The love interest says that the gang leader wants her to drop them off at the gang. The reason I'm doing that is just you always want clarity. You always want clarity. When you're looking at an outline, when you're looking at your zero draft, when you're looking at the short form or extended outline, you always want clarity for yourself. You never want to second guess. And for one split second, them was ambiguous to me. Because them could refer to the love interest, them could refer to the products, them, whatever. So even though in the grand scheme of things we know we're talking about the gang, it's always important to stay as filled with clarity as possible so you don't really have to think about it. So when you're working on your prose, you could just write. Laura says that they don't have a choice on where to be dropped off at this point. He wants to know why. Laura says that the ship is still damaged from the event of the air situation, but functional, not for long distance now. But they're far from a planet and have to figure out how to get to the closest place. Okay, a couple things. Hey, what's up, a rotovator? Row. Greetings, Thomas, Cindy, Flowers, and others. Excellent. Salve. So, if you're just getting into this, if you're watching this episode for the first time and you don't understand what's going on, basically in the zero draft, I still keep it to very broad and general statements, ideas. I'm not writing prose, though I can. In the zero draft, I can write prose now, and occasionally I will. I do write dialogue occasionally, but that doesn't mean I always do. So it's a matter of whatever hits you to help you understand that chapter, that scene, or that rhythm the most. Okay, remember, it's all about getting the rhythm, the beat of that chapter worked out. Okay, so if you gotta play with some dialogue, play with it. Me personally, if it hits me, I will write it, as you will see. But my goal with the zero draft is simply to work out the rhythm of the chapter. This helps me get a loose idea of if I should have another chapter, 2, 3, or 4 chapters for this particular plot. The advantage of that is if I need, let's just do an example. Oh, hey, welcome. Thought I'd drop in and listen while I work on my novel. Woo! Well, that makes us all feel honored. I appreciate that. Thank you. So, as I was saying, let's say I'm writing out the zero draft as I am. Right now, we're at probably, 525 words. But if the zero draft ended up being, say, 1,000 words, I know in my head that when I write the prose out, this chapter might end up being 5,000 to 6,000 words. Maybe. There's a good chance, right? So what if I ended up breaking it up? And now I go, oh, if I break it up, I can make smaller moments and then focus on those emotional beats. Now, why is that important? Well, if it is a character-driven chapter and a less action-driven, like we're just, plot pushing us through, we can say to ourselves, well, this is a good chance to really show the internal truth of the character. So we can expand on these shorter chapters when we break them up. Let me simplify that. If it turns out during the zero draft process that we end up with a really long zero draft, we can technically break that in half. And by breaking that in half, we cut our word count in half, and now we could sort of play a little bit more in that half. So that's always good to do. Wow. All right, so let's keep going. We have a little bit more to play with. Let's get this Let's just bring this up just so we have it up here, and then we can play with it. Hey. I'm thinking I may have to break chapters up. And by the way, flowers, that is not bad. Hey, flowers. Because if you have to break up a chapter, that's a writer's mindset. Okay, that's the writer's mindset, asking questions, trying to find solutions to those things. More chapters doesn't necessarily mean bigger book, all right? Because you can use chapters as pacing or rhythm. You know, you could have, you could take a huge chapter. You're like, oh man, this was 7,000 words. And you could break that up technically into 3 chapters. You could say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to try to do 2,400 words per chapter for this. But you have to find clear-cut scenes or clear-cut moments. But breaking up chapters also gives you that chance to do what I just said, which is you could play with the moments a little bit more. Yeah, all right. So Laura Olivia checks the computer to establish the next potential landing location. All right. Annoyed and worried for her life. Laura, though she tries to hide that. All right. Now keep in mind, I'll be writing this in first person, which isn't necessarily my favorite way to write. But when you do that, we actually get to explore these kind of like ideas in thought, since the narrative is written through her anyway. Checks the computer to establish the next potential landing location. All right. The locations are limited. No, that's another beat. No location. Outside the areas where the gang needs to go, but the ship needs to land soon. Oh, yeah, okay. So remember later on, for anyone who's been following this series, there is a planet in Act 3 that they crash in. And we have to just seed. We're seeding the fact that that planet exists. We're seeding that that planet is nearby, which is important. Or nearby in the sense of, you know, space. And then, let's see. Note the planet they have to go to for after. Okay, and then this is the planet for when they go and get the ship out of Hawk. All right, so those are good. Okay, so now we got a plan. I feel that's good. I feel this kind of works itself out. All right. You might be saying, Thomas, this feels very like bland. You know, it's just flat. And the reason is because these are not prose. These are just bullet point rhythms. For anyone who doesn't know, this sets up the beat. Every piece plays with the beat. So the first indent is playing within the beat, and then these are playing within that beat, whatever. And we get to see the rhythm. So, you know, oh look, okay, all right, okay, you could see like how much we play in a rhythm or something like that. Anyway, all right, so there is chapter 4. We were working on this last time, so we kind of were able to 611. 611. All right, there we go. Now we're on chapter 5. There we go. All right. Okay, Laura pulls into the planet atmosphere. Okay. So, a couple things. There's a rule in writing. It says start in the middle, you know, or, you know, start late, end early. So it's better to be like, instead of them like approaching the planet and like us watching them go through space, I know, and you know from watching the series, they're not really going to have an issue getting to the planet, even though they're like, you know, we might not make it, but it's, you know, far away. So with that, we're seeding the fact that they're going to have issues with gas or maybe crashing on the planet. Ergo, we are just going to start with them pulling into the planet's atmosphere. It helps the chapter start off with action, movement, what's going on kind of energy. All right. It becomes engaging because the reader's trying to catch up to the excitement. There's no planned landing for that ship number. And they tell her she's not authorized to land on this planet. Okay. Okay. Laura tells them that the ship is damaged, gas low, we need... We're allowed to or not. Okay. They tell Laura to land in Port 7. Port 7! I like it. Port 7! Do-do-do-do-do-do. Boop, 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 boop. Alright, let's build on this now. Okay. Now, sometimes if you notice with the zero draft, sometimes I don't really expand much on the extended draft version. And that's because usually the extended draft is hitting just the basic, general, important elements of that beat. And we don't necessarily have to go a little deeper. So I just use the zero draft to sort of build. Because again, I'm building small to medium to big, right? So I do a little here, I did a little there, I did a little here, and by the time I get to the first draft, now I'm working on immersion, which expands it even more because now we're playing with prose, and then from there, you know, the second draft will be where I kind of really play with the immersion as per this. See? The first draft is all about prose. The second draft is where I start going, do I need a little bit more sight or less sight? Do I need more smell here? Should I add a little taste? Should I get some tactile? Maybe some spatial element? Okay. Laura Olivia flies the ship down. The gang is being annoying as the ship begins to have trouble. They all feel like they're going to die, and the leader of the gang tells Laura that if he's going to die, if he's going to kill her, okay. He tells Laura that he's going to kill her if they don't survive. Yeah, that's a funny joke. I like that. I like that joke. You know, it's sort of like, I will kill you until you die from it. You know, all right. But doesn't feel like she's going to make it. Let's add some computer stuff. The computer is adding to the anxiety of the situation. Stepping in with comments about the distance, their likelihood of success, and that they could have avoided all of this if the gang didn't hijack the ship. All right. Computer also tells the gang that they picked a crappy ship. It's not even new. Okay. All right. I think I really like the idea of the computer being antsy-pantsy and playful. Not playful, but, you know, like, hey, guys, you know. All right. The ship flies in, getting rougher and more dangerous. Okay, so I'm going to make this actually... no, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. So do you see how, like, the opening beat is pretty short in comparison? You know, there's really only 4 beats to that element, okay? This one right now is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is going to be a chunk of it. And then as you can see, this is the closing. This is the closing of the scene. So this is the resolution and how everything sort of comes together. So this is ultimately the midpoint conflict of the chapter. So let's play with that. And if I am covering anything on the screen, actually, you know what I could do? Yeah, there we go. That might work. All right, Olivia flies. Is that good? I think it'd be better from up here. I'm trying not to cover anything for everybody. Okay. All right, flies again. They all feel okay. The computer. Okay, the ship flies in, getting rougher and more dangerous. Bells and whistles are going off. The computer is yelling at her, telling them that they're not going to make it and to land somewhere else. The ship tries to take over control to preserve itself. Laura has to override it. Trying to get to port 7. Laura gets closer and closer. The gang is screaming and yelling. Locking themselves into chairs. As the ship is trying to turn itself due to the pressure of speed from falling and flying. The ship runs out of fuel completely. Ha 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 ha. Okay. It's very crazy stuff. It's just what? It's just pure chaos. I love that stuff. I'm a big fan of action and danger and thrilling. Like even in my epic fantasy, like the fight scenes, I love fight scenes. But I try to make fight scenes have like an emotional cue to them, or they're not just hack and slash, but like we're experiencing those fights deeply through the characters. Not where it's a slow pace, but you know, like there's a rhythm to it. You know, fight, character interaction, fight, character. You know, you got to create that kind of rhythm when you're dealing with stuff. All right, the computer tells Laura she needs to deploy crash landing protocols, because I am sure you people don't want to die. All right. Okay, the gang leader is screams. Crash landing. Who doesn't know how to fly? Okay, you got my ship shot up. This is on you. Ha ha. See, like these moments, this gives Laura agency without her feeling unstoppable. She's able to get her little quips in there, a little somethings, but she knows she's in trouble. She knows this is a bad situation, but she's still trying to hold her ground despite the fact that, you know. But what's nice is she's not able to fix the ship. She's not able to save it from crashing. And that's the thing. Like, when you have characters, it's okay to watch them fail. We get the most of character development when we see how not only a character fails, how they react to that failing, and then how they react to having fail. And that's obviously where we get character growth. So that's why when they say like a Gary Stu or Mary Sue, they're like, you know, the reason you should avoid that is because you don't really get a lot of character growth with somebody that's not struggling or dealing with loss or failure or all these. That's really the big reason for that. You know, if you want to write like a character that's unstoppable, do it. But often you'll hear you need flaws. But the way I say it is if they're really good at something, show them, get to a point where they're being challenged at what they're good at. And now you at least get both worlds. You get to establish them as really good at, you know, driving a boat. But now the boat is, you know, sinking, or the boat, hits something they didn't see. You know, there's a malfunction in the equipment and their boat hits low ground, whatever the case is. And now how do they work through this? And that actually shows their expertise. I'm just saying. All right. The ship is almost to port 7, but crashes about 100 yards away, which is about a football field, 300 feet. Sliding, that is a football field. Sliding to a stop. The screaming follows the slide and stops when the slide, when the ship stops. Boop. All right. Wee, wee. I don't know if you could hear the sirens outside. Wee. Okay. The gang leader stands up and goes to shoot Laura, Olivia, and well, he should. Okay. But the love interest jumps up at the same time and pushes the leader to the side as the gun. Do I want guns or do I want future weapons? If so, what would they be? Think of this. Again, when you're working on your zero draft, your short form outline, or your extended outline, you do not have to focus on the specifics of things. Just worry about broad general ideas, because plot is what needs to happen no matter what. And the story is where we start getting the specifics, because it's what people are paying attention to. It's what surrounds these people. It's what they're choosing. So plot, you just kind of want it to fill up the movement of your narrative, because the plot is ultimately what needs to happen. So if there's no plot happening, there's no movement. For example, if we went back to chapter 1 and we showed the ordinary world that Laura Olivia wants to write a book, and she has this company she started, and then chapter 2 where the inciting incident happened where they got hijacked, instead we throw that out, and she's like, hey, I gotta transport more stuff, and I'm gonna work on my book. And then chapter 3 is ultimately her transporting. She gets to the spot, she delivers the stuff. While she's waiting for them to unload the ship, she writes more on a book. Then she goes home, and she goes, hey, I'm going to need another shipment. They say, yeah, sure, no problem, tomorrow. As you can see, there's no full narrative because nothing's being challenged. There's no change to her world or her ordinary world. And because there's no challenge, we're just starting to see what we would call the ordinary day, or the day in the life. And that's why you need an inciting incident. That's why you need to disrupt the world. That's why you need to challenge things. Because ultimately, there is no story if the plot doesn't exist, because just watching people live isn't as interesting. Anyway. All right. The gang stands up and goes. Okay. The love interest and the gang have an argument about killing Laura. I would say the other gang members stand at both positions, saying to leave her alive, while others say to kill her. She almost got us killed. Uh-oh, I used an M dash. You know what that means? AI is writing this currently. Okay. Don't use M dashes. The hell would you? I am going to go to the grave using my M dashes. All right. Laura says killing her would be a waste. Make this a funny exchange. I'll work on that. AI Thomas is that's right. Beep, 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 boop, 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 boop. AI Thomas. All right. Okay. The gang leader is frustrated but agrees, telling his people to take her credits and whatever isn't tied down. Laura complains and her life is threatened again, but the love interest tells her it's not worth it. All right. Laura says it is worth it, but that's all my worth I have. How am I going to afford to get my broken brand new, my broken, brand new ship back up and ready to get me home? The gang leader says that it's her problem. She should have spent the extra money. Okay. The love interest says to leave her with some credits, anything. They don't care and tell him, tell him he can stay and forfeit his share of the money and help this nobody get her ship back up and running. He has to go with them. Okay, because he also needs the money. He wants it. Okay. Laura is angry, frustrated, and watches the gang leave her ship. The love interest comes over to her, leaving her with a way to contact him, because we need that for later. All right. Laura stands in the open doorway of her ship, watching them walk off in the distance, and she can see the city beyond them. As she knows she is going to need to find parts, money for parts, and figure out how to get home. All right, what do we got here? What do you think about a story that starts with one main character, has multiple side characters, and then later becomes focused on each side character's respective story, while the MC takes more of a back seat? That's a good question. That would be what Game of Thrones basically does. So there are multiple characters in Game of Thrones, but there is a quintessential main character in every book. But the backseat thing, I think, is where it diverges. So, like, obviously, Eddard Stark is the main protagonist. We're technically following his main plot. He only goes to King's Landing because the Hand was murdered, and then what is he doing? He's investigating the murder of the Hand, which leads to the reveal of Cersei's and someone else. I don't want to ruin it if you haven't watched. All right, Jamie. But it leads to that, which that reveal leads to Edark's vacation. Okay, but we do follow other people. We're following Arya. We're following Sansa. We're following Jon Snow up north, which is really the south to the others. But if you're going to make a character, the main character, the backseat, by definition, that would stop the main character from being the main character. Because the main character, or I should say, the main protagonist, because you could have multiple main characters. Arya is a main character. You know, Jon Snow is a main character. Cersei is definitely a main character. I would almost argue that Cersei's father is a side character. And the reason is because he doesn't drive the narrative. He's immersed in the narrative until I think book 3, when he's like a part of the like when he comes back to the castle, once he's back in King's Landing, he becomes a main character. But you have to look at it that way. So if you're going to do something like this, where we kind of follow like a main protagonist, and then there are like these side stories, which is fine, and then later on the main protagonist kind of vanishes. It would almost you'd be canceling out the promise. And remember, in every narrative, you want to maintain a promise. So it's more of a Again, main characters are just characters that drive narrative. You could have 100 main characters. That would be insane. But like if you for example, I have 2 main protagonists in the first epic fantasy book, and that's because there's a main POV for Aaliyah and a main POV for Devious. They are protagonists because they handle the main narrative drive. Okay, but I have secondary characters that are considered main characters because they influence the main narrative, and then side characters elevate the main narrative, and those are different, right? They're not necessarily driving the main narrative. They're kind of like adding color and flavor to it. But at the end of the day, if Devious didn't exist, then the story I'm telling wouldn't happen. So imagine I'm building the story around Devious as the main protagonist, okay? And then like he's not in the story. Like nothing would move forward. None of the characters would be doing anything to make the next thing happen. It would be a different story. And that's another question to talk about. That's a philosophy in itself. Because at the end of the day, what starts your narrative and what ends your narrative is going to come down to that inciting incident that changed the ordinary world of who and what. So in A Wheel of Time, if we're talking about the books, not the show, if we're talking about the books, Ran has an inciting incident, which then turns into the movement of A Wheel of Time. So if that thing never, I'm not going to say it just in case anyone wants to read the book, it is a different experience than the movies, the TV show. The thing that happens to Ran is what sets off Wheel of Time. If that thing never happened, the Wheel of Time series wouldn't happen because they wouldn't find Ran. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're dealing with main characters or main protagonists. The narrative moves on their watch. If they're not making choices, if their world isn't being disrupted, if they're not dealing with consequences, all these things, then there is technically no narrative. However, that doesn't mean you can't tell another story. You know what I'm saying? You can give the illusion that a character is the main character, right? But you do risk losing your audience at a certain point. Because if we invest a lot into something, that's why when what happens at Edark Stark worked so well, because it was near the end of the first book. All right? If that happened mid-book, that might have been like a what? Right? The only way that would work is if another character was following along in that might have been sort of an aside character, but then takes on the quest or the purpose of Edark Stark. And now we are following them, dealing with the consequences, which is a midpoint conflict that might work. But again, you have to think about, like, where does the narrative go if character A doesn't exist? Okay? Or, patient zero. Did we just fly through chapter 5? Yeah, I think we did. All right. So 1 second. Let me set up another chapter for us. Let's go here. Boop, 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 all right, chapter 6. By the way, great question, Ro. That was a really good question, and that's definitely something to think about. That doesn't mean you can't do what you're talking about in that scenario, but you do have to work around the quote-unquote rules of writing, you know, and try to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Okay. All right, put that there. All right, that's good. Okay, where are we? Boop. Let's go back. I didn't think of it as a multiple MC scenario. Thank you for clarifying that for me. Yeah, no problem. No problem. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to count Chapter 5's numbers. Just to clarify that, that's going to be 726. We will go here. 726. There we go. So Chapter 5 is 726. And again, if we look at over here, you know, this chapter has the potential with prose to be about 1,721 words at the end of the day, based on the formula. So again, that's not a long chapter. This feels like a short book. But in reality, it's pretty good. All right, so Chapter 6. Let's go to Chapter 6. Whoop. 1 second, 1 second. 1 second, my friends, 1 second. All right. Do we have the numbers? There's 2 scenes. So let's see. There are only 2 scenes. All right. So we have, this is going to be one scene with 2 major. Whenever you see this, whenever I do this in my extended outlines, those are major plot beats, right, within it. And then if I write a hard chapter break or a soft chapter break, that means that we're moving locations or spaces or whatever. But this plot point has 3 major plot movements to it. Okay, so that's how I look at that. All right, let's get into it. Laura, first things first, we bring this up, and then we kind of play with it. Laura Olivia walked around the city, and as she does, there are people talking about the ship that crashed in the distance. See the geography of the city, its layout, and okay. So what this basically means is, how are we going to do that? How are we going to see this, right? All right. So let's see. Ensure that. Oh. Okay. Clear, spatial, elements are presented. Street names, buildings, point out specific people and or street activity as she moves around the city. Okay, so this is all, I have it in red because these are notes. Okay, did I spell that right? Oh, spatial, yeah. Spatial. Hey, he's got a spatial all over his face. All right, okay. As she moves around the city, let's see. Okay. Authorities of the city say that the ship was involved in a heist. Okay. Name Laura's ship. People over the radios are calling for the authorities to prepare for any increased issues. So basically what I'm saying is, like, what'll be heard is they realize that that ship was involved in a heist. There are people, right? They're going to the ship. They're going to see if anyone's there. But if they're not there, they're assuming they're going to come to the city. If they come to the city, there's a chance that there's going to be, violence or theft or whatever. So that's sort of what I'm inferring here. All right. Let's bring this up. Ooh. By the way, if I go to chapter 5 real quick, if you notice, chapter 5 had a lot of movement in it in the extended draft. And by the way, when you're working on the extended draft, if you do lay it out in a way where it's quote unquote detailed in the way what we did it, that is also okay. It's all right to play a little bit in the extended draft. I just use the zero draft to kind of go deeper into the movements of the extended draft. But sometimes when we're in a situation where there's a lot going on in the extended draft, the zero draft doesn't need a lot of extra work to it, because sometimes we might say to ourselves, oh, we got to add stuff, but in reality, do you need to add stuff, right? Just because it's sort of like if I send a chapter to somebody and I go, what are things you like, what are things you don't like, and what are things that you wish there were more of, right? Like that's a traditional 3-question beta reader helper, like if you're just kind of just starting out and just want quick feedback. But what do you like means that they're reading it to find what they like. What do you not like means that they're reading it to find things they don't like. So that don't like, it creates a bias read, right? So how do you get that information, right? So when you're approaching questions, what you should be is going, oh, what are your initial thoughts on the chapter? What did you get out of the chapter? And through that question, you're going to get them to start talking about things that maybe, oh, I didn't understand what was going on here. So that's a what they didn't like. If they don't understand something, that's a I didn't like. And that's more helpful than them just going, you know what? I did like the chapter, but they're asking me what I don't like. So now they're going to dig deeper and be like, well, let me look for stuff that I don't like. And they might start just naming things just because that you need to answer that question. So it's okay to allow questions to have a broader sort of approach where you're not influencing or directing them in a sense. One of the things that I ask about characters, I go, which characters did you relate to? Okay. Now, I don't need to know what characters they didn't relate to, because the characters they did relate to would infer that they didn't relate to these other characters more. But if you want to go a little broader than that, you go, tell me about the characters and what you learned on the page, or what was it about the characters on the page, that you read. Something like that, because you're leaving it generalized. You're leaving it a chance for them to go, I didn't like the way these characters act or behave. But anyway, that's an aside. All right, Laura goes to a shop that fixes ships, asking them how much would it cost to fix XYZ as a hypothetical. Okay, the person said, oh, yeah, oh, okay. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, yes. Okay. The person says it'll cost XY amount. So, ships from, they say, her planet, because those people don't know how to make ships. This is because of the bias of the war that had happened. Okay. So that's good. We got to continue. Remember, we wouldn't create a chapter that shows the animosity between these planets due to that war that happened in the past. We wouldn't create a chapter to do that. You would always allow scenes and specific moments as opportunities to remind the audience or seed this relevant information. And that's what helps create lived-in worlds. I'm sure you've heard that. Oh, the world feels lived in, or the world doesn't feel static. It doesn't, right? So what is the truth of that? The truth is a lived-in world means that the world and its history, its culture, its religions, its way of life, everything influences the environment. And that doesn't mean the the environment is influenced by your narrative. It means that the narrative is moving through this world that is influenced by what has or is happening. So that's something to keep in mind when you're working on adding stuff to moments. You think to yourself, what is going on in the world right now that would impact something? What about this city? That is something that is very much this city. That isn't necessarily narrative driven, but it does go, oh, the people in this city, you know what? This is a city that is mostly vegetarian because the animals on this planet, if you're doing sci-fi or if you're doing fantasy, maybe if it's fantasy, the animals can't survive on this land because it's made of rocks and dirt, right? But you can grow like hard vegetables there. So they have vegetable-heavy cuisines. And that's sort of how like you present it. You don't have to explain that to the audience, but when they go to eat or when they're at somebody's house or whatever the case is, if they go to a market, it's usually vegetable-heavy options. And that is a way to show lived-in world, just as an aside. Okay. And that's why I did this. Whenever we can, you always try to create these nice little, hey, remember, there's a world out there. Do you do credit or is it paid in full? They need all the money paid before the ship would be returned to her. Okay. Laura asks if she could work there to work off the cost of the ship damage. They say that they don't hire outsiders, especially your kind. These are the cruel people working in the factory building. Okay. So this is seeding Later's reaction and all that other hoopla when she's like running away from the authorities. By the way, for anyone who doesn't know, we're on chapter 6, which is, we're doing this as plot point 6. And plot point 6 is the immediate, I'll repeat that, the immediate consequences of the actions taken by the protagonist in plot point 5. So if plot point 5 was that they took the action to land the ship onto this planet and crash, the immediate reaction is now she has to walk among the planet and start trying to figure out how to ultimately fix her issue. That means we are technically at the end of Act 1, Section 2, Problem Disrupts the World, which means Act 1, Section 3, the protagonist's life changes direction. By the end of this chapter, we learn that she's going to be trying to focus on getting her ship fixed, which changes the direction of her world, okay? Because again, we are using the 27 plot point outline. If you haven't done so already, there is a link in the video description under free resources for writers, and it'll be the first link, free templates. In that Google Doc, you don't have to sign up for anything. You don't have to sign up for a mailing list, newsletter, whatever, though you can on my website, makearightlefthear.com. Downloading that file, there is a file that will show you not only what the 27 plot point outline is, but there's also one where it's sort of like streamlined. So there's a bunch of different variations. I also have, you can look at the files that I'm working on right now, writing the story. They are available to look at. Feel free. This story is all for education and helping people. Okay. All right, let's see. Laura asks if she could work on. No, we don't like you people. What do you mean, you people? But you'll do the work. Of course, money. Okay. Laura. Of course, money is money, but I'm not giving you any money. You're giving me money. Money has no home planet. All right. Okay. All right. Oh, look at that. We're almost done with chapter 6. What are we, 50 minutes in? All right. I mean, after this, we'll call it a day. We'll do questions. All right. Let's see. Hard chapter break. Again, anyone who doesn't know, hard chapter break is a change in space, a change in narrative movement, maybe a switch in POV. A soft chapter break is just a quick time jump, like, I'm going to go outside, and then a soft chapter break has them outside, but the narrative is still, the main narrative is still moving through the scene. It's just we're just kind of like, we don't need to see them, going to the bathroom. All right, Laura goes to 2 other places. All of them want nothing to do with her. So what I'm going to do with this is Laura had gone to 2 other places. Okay. So that'll help us with word count. Okay. Make sure this is commented on when she speaks with the owner of this location. Okay. All right. Those 2 other locations wanted nothing to do with her, which led her to this 3rd place. All right. So that's a note from me. Okay. Don't go outside. Yeah, it is so hot today. I just want you to know I don't have my AC on right now because the way I have it, the way I have to use it for the mic, you know, it would mess up the sound like it usually does. But when I had it on early, I had it blasting and it was still hot. Just saying. We are 11 degrees cooler today. Ooh. But aren't you surrounded by water, right? Because isn't the island of Great Britain an island? It's an island, right? So you get like like being in New York City, it's really hot, but oh, that's the UK for you. Okay. Or as they say in Italiana, what is it? No, wait, that's I can't say it. It's a very weird word. UK heat wave was 2 days. Damn. Snowed. Ooh, about 2 hours south of Calgary. Nice. Snow? It's June, right? Wow. I get that. All right. She enters a company with the mindset that she's wasting her time. So she'll... oh, that reminds me. Remember, you always want to use the name as much as possible so you can just get used to it. Laura enters a company with the mindset that she's wasting her time. Eventually robbing people, even though she knows she couldn't, nor has the skill. She thinks about calling her parents, though that might make them worry, and how could they even afford to help her, as her father is still dealing with the work injury and new life with one leg. So, oh, what do we got here? Hey, how's it going? Something to do with the volume of water surrounding us makes it muggier. Oh, in the England. Yeah, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because like I said, like even in New York City, that I could understand. It's like it just seeps through the collaboration, the gathering of buildings and the population itself. Because the more people you have, obviously, like one person in a room is not going to be as hot as say 30 people in a room. But yeah, that makes sense. And by the way, M, thanks for watching and listening. I appreciate that. I do. Let me make this do this so we can go up a little higher. All right. So basically what I get to do here is we bring back the parents and the father situation. So this is chapter 6. We're still in act 1. We've met the parents in chapter 1. And so this is sort of like giving us food for thought, bringing back the parents. It connects us to the emotional thing. She's being challenged, by the way. So this, when I talk about positions and being challenged, her position of like being a good person is being challenged because he's like, no one likes me here. I need to get home. Maybe I'll rob people, all this other stuff. So we are creating opportunities to show how she reacts and how she processes things, What does it say? We are celebrating the 12th anniversary of flooding in Alberta with 200 millimeter of rain from Edmont to the border with 20 to 30 centimeters of snow closer to the mountains. Damn. Exactly. Flowers. Okay. The owner has a loose conversation with Laura, who doesn't seem passionate about the opportunity, believing that they will say no. They end up having a really kind conversation that leads to them agreeing to hire her. They give her a job. What do we got? Don't know if we need snow boot or a canoe. It depends, really. You're welcome. Thank you for letting us in. Absolutely. Yeah, this is a fun process that I love doing, which I'm mostly doing this to teach. I'm mostly giving people insight into one of many different ways we can do this, but mostly I also want to show people how to process things and how to make choices and think about what they're writing down. Not necessarily to do it how I do it, but to see the inner working. So I appreciate the thanks. All right. But she can't tell anyone that she's working for them. If anyone finds out, they destroy their business and potentially harm their family. She agrees to this. Okay. When asked why help her, they say that someone from her home planet saved his life when they were in war together. See? We've been seeding the war, and now the war gets to pay off on this nice little moment. All right. I do have to figure out what the job is and how she has to hide it. Yeah. Boop. Okay. Just do that so I can... Okay, there we go. We just did a whole nother chapter. So let's do this. Let's do the word count for this. This is 305. 305. Okay. And then let's go here. 11. All right. Now, I know for a fact this chapter is going to be a little longer than 1223. It just is. It's because at the end of the day, like a lot of this stuff, I don't really need to work out, again, the specific details of the city. But these notes are going to help me with prose and help me work out where I'm going to go. I get to make up street names, buildings. I get to point out, I might do like street performers, right, which would help build with the culture of the city. Okay, I get to play around with what the authorities look like, their clothing, how they work, their strategy. But I don't have to write that in the zero draft. This is enough to get my brain to go, I need to write this out. I need to allow the prose to play this beat out. And that's all the zero draft helps me do. I literally take this beat and then I write out prose, either leading up to this, playing within it, and then leading out of it. So that it might take me 1 pro, 2 pro, 3 pro. I might even play 4 or 5 pros just to play out this moment. And then once that's done, I go to it, and I just keep repeating that, and it helps me build on it. What we got here? Oh, hey, Hannah. What's up, Hannah? Hi, I was just trying to draw my character, Lily Vera. I hope I said that right. The Kinsoon, part Fey, and Do, with floral antlers in Procreate. But I think I have to draw her by hand. Hey, sometimes you gotta, right? That's really the way to do it. But the idea that you're even trying to draw them is a great part of the process of creativity. Also, fun fact about names. Brandon Sanderson once was on stage, and someone asked him, how do you pronounce one of the character names? And he goes, however you want. He goes, I know how I pronounce it, and when I'm writing, that's what the character's name is. But once I put it out there and you pay money to purchase the book, however you want to pronounce that name, have at it. And I always thought that was an interesting and a wonderful way to approach it. because I do know for a fact that the city of Silation, the way I spell it, I use the word Sai, like S-A-I, right? And everyone that's been reading has been saying it's Salation, and I'm like, no, it's Silation, but I'm like, you know what? Fine, it's Salation. Enjoy. By the way, hi everyone else in the room. Been driving. Focus on the road. We appreciate your existence, so be safe. Hey! Oh, the whatever you want to call, because it's true, like we can't control how people say it. However, I know I'm gonna have a thing in the back of the book that sort of explains how to say the names, just for the fun of it. But I'm also gonna have a thing that kind of explains like elements. So like I use for time, I use turn or turns for year or years. Clicks and ticks for like minutes and hours. And the reason I do that is there's a device that they have on that to keep track of time, like how, because there's two suns and they turn the device to measure months and years, and then they use the clicks and ticks will tell you, like a click will be an hour and a tick will be a minute. So that's why the terminology came up, and that is a version of world building. You allow the discovery of time or the ability to tell time. Okay, so sort of like us, we have the ticking clock, right? That only exists because we invented clocks. I also might want to draw my whole flower blossom world by hand as well, and you should. And when I come up with names, I like to have flowers as my characters, or even look at fantasy name generators. Hey, you got to do what you got to do, and whatever your choice is, if it's right for you, you got to work with it, right? Plus flower characters, I like that. It's different. It's a little different. Row with his tongue. Okay, I have enjoyed writing moral today. Oh yeah. I was scared earlier in the week as I felt like I didn't know where I was going. Then I invented him, and we're all. Yeah, I mean that's the thing though. Like you right? It's all made up. So, however, I do know that sometimes characters are like, I don't want to go there, and you're like, moral, you got to do what I want you to do, because this is my damn story. Okay. All right. So with that, we finished chapter 6. We did 2 chapters today. We did dos chapters today. You'll have to ADH Flowers permission, Hannah. Hey. Oh, because of elf flowers. All right. So, all right. There we go. We did an hour. That's what we try to do. Let's get to it. The floor is yours, everybody. As always, at the end of the hour, I like to give the floor to everyone. We can chat, but more importantly, if you have questions, give me those questions. You have questions about what we did today, or questions about your writing process, what you're working on. If you need guidance, I am a developmental editor and a writing teacher, and I'm here to assist. It's free advice. It's free advice. And plus, we make a lot of jokes, and usually we end up singing most of the time. My flower characters are all kitsunes, but either parfait, deer doe, and mermaid, la 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 la. Anyway, there you go. Well, while we are waiting for questions, I guess we'll do the whole hoopla stuff. Let's get to the banners. If anyone doesn't know, you can go find everything you need to know on makeawritelefthere.com. That is my website. Did you have what it takes to make a right left here? Do you, punk? You can find everything from videos of me in general. You can find information on classes that I teach, but you can find my books, and there's just general news on me. Also, if you ever like, who is this guy? You can follow my social media, and you'll see a little deeper into my psyche and how crazy I am. All right. If you haven't done so already and you've been really enjoying this series or the channel in general, and you got a chance to jump on this live, and you're like, I finally got to hear this guy speak, and I'm enjoying it, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. The more people that click that bell icon, the more notifications you get when I go live, which is every Saturday and Sunday. 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Saturdays are educational, always writing, and or business, always about author careers. And then 2, Sundays are always the Write a Book With Me series from concept to conception. We are on episode 25 next week, so I'm pretty excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun. What's up, Hannah? I know I was going to email you, but I'm currently rewriting my story, for I was trying to do a proofreading book on Amazon, but it wasn't big enough to where the spine was fitting right. Yeah, you gotta, books need a spine to for a certain size. But that's cool. Are you saying you're writing a book, do a proofreading book? Are you writing a book on proofreading, like how to proofread, or are you proofreading your book on? I'm sorry. Sometimes my dyslexia makes it difficult to understand what's going on. All right. But anyway, we're doing pretty well with this. We're almost done with Act 1. We've done chapters 1 through 6. And I think we're flying through in a good way. I'm pretty excited about that. We have plot point 7, 8, and 9, and we'll be done with Act 1, which leads us into the whole Act 2 excitement. I'm thinking next time we do this, we might be able to get through plot points 7 and 8. I think. I'm pretty excited about that, though. All right. Well, writing the Western, get him up, get him going. Okay. Sometimes I assigned the plot points to other characters. Is there a no-no? Or are the plot points only supposed to be... Okay, this is a great question. This is a really good question, Ro. The main plot, okay, is driven by the main protagonist. However, other characters can move the main plot forward, okay? But I will add another however. Every character must also have a full plot arc. So they should have 27 plot arcs. If they're a side character like a one and done, or they're just like, hey, how's it going, or hey, I sell cars, like they don't. But if they are a side character or a main character in general, you should give them some sort of evolving arc, even if it ends up being flat at the end, because you can have flat arcs. There's nothing wrong with flat arcs. But the main narrative is usually driven by the main protagonist. However, you can add asides. This is why they tell you to do subplots or have these side characters, because they add color and volume to the main plot. With that said, the main character, the main protagonist, should still have 27 plot points played out for the main. They should be involved in all 27 plot points. But that doesn't mean another character can move, say, the midpoint conflict can start in somebody else's POV, like a side character. But the main character must also be influenced, or I should say influenced, because you want them to have agency, influence the main plot point of the midpoint conflict as well. But traditionally, every character should have their own 27 plot point arc. They could have more than one, by the way, because you could have subplots, okay? But the main character, I hope that answered your question. The main character should be driving the main, but that doesn't mean other characters can't influence those plot points as well. But the main protagonist must play within every single plot point in some way or another. I was trying to make a proofreading copy. Oh, you were trying to... okay, my own story, but it wasn't working. That's what I meant. By the way, you could go to Barnes & Noble's. Not that I'm sponsored by them, but you could go to Barnes & Noble, your local Barnes & Noble, and bring a formatted version of the file as a PDF, and they can print it out for you. So that's a good way to sort of, just handle it through there instead of going through Amazon right away. But you could also hire somebody to format your book. But I'll be honest, you need more than 24 pages for sure. And if you want like a thicker, like if you want something like this, like a thick like this, you need at least what is this, 200 and let's see, how many pages is this book? This book is 300 pages. So this is a 300 page. That was a 300-page edge, but like this book is 200 pages-ish. This book right here. This is Nicole's, by the way, every time Nicole Perlman gets in here. And this is a 200-page edge. So you need if you want a thick edge, you need some some pages. Will Snot Thomas got to make it hotter. That's what I do. Wait, that's what she said. All right. Any other question? I'm loving this. I love questions. This is all for you. This is your time. It's 3 o'clock. That's not too bad. I love your questions. You love my answers. No, I don't. Maybe you kind of like my answers, but I'm there. By the way, if you haven't done so already, please like the video. Get some analytic action on this. And I know that some of you share this video, and I love that you do that. So that means a lot to me. I know we all like to print to proofread, but V found using speech in Word or Scrivener really helps with proof. 100%. There are 2 ways you can do it for sure. There's, you could choose either one. You could also do both. I do the speech in Word, not Word, but I use speech in another program. And I like hearing it out, and because I have the dyslexia when I'm doing that sort of kind of reading, that edit, I want to be able to hear it clearly, and it also helps you feel out the rhythm of the prose as well. That's why they should say you should read it out loud. So there are steps to it. I like to read it out loud, and then because I have dyslexia, I will then, once I finish kind of getting my own sense of it, I will use a speech thing, and that'll allow me to hear it. And then what I do is I put it on PDF and expand it. That's easier for my eyes and for my dyslexia. I used to print them out completely, but it's a whole process. There are so many different ways to do it. I'm just saying. You're just saying, we're all saying, except some of us can be Super Saiyan. Okay, who's Super Saiyan? I'm Super Saiyan. Anyway, I'm still been thinking about Not Great as the last name. I think that would make a really good detective's name. Not Great, Peter Not Great. Or Richard Not Great. I don't know. I don't know about you, but that's what I'm thinking. Not great. I think it just works out. Not great. And I'm still trying to figure out the more or less. That's such a good first name. More or less not great. That character is going to be amazing. I'm just going to put a lot of heart and real effort into that character. So their name might make people go, what? More or less not great? And I think I'm going to really enjoy that. Gasper not great. Gasper not great. That's funny. Gasper not great. Who doesn't love not great? I love him already. Yeah, we were. Oh, you weren't here yesterday, Cindy? Yeah, it's we did not great. We did this. This was the version of not great we did. Not great. But I definitely have to figure out how to do more or less not great. What I find very interesting is that more or less not great will be in an epic fantasy novel, and that just makes me happy. That's where my heart is at, and I'm going to be very happy about that. So how would you go about doing the plot points for a multiple MC story? Does each character need a 27 plot point specifically to them? They don't share the same 27 PP. Correct. There is still going to be a main protagonist. So again, Game of Thrones is 100% an ensemble book. There are multiple POVs in that book. Bran is the first one presented to give us insight into how others look at Eddard. Eddard has his own. Caitlyn has her own. Cersei has her own. Okay, and not Tywin, but Tyrion has his own. So they all have their own, but one drives the plot forward. And sometimes, like for example, Khaleesi, the dragon, Oh my god, why can't I think of the name? Anyway, yeah, the Daenerys. She doesn't necessarily directly influence the main plot. She is building a secondary story that will become the main. So she's setting up the ordinary world of her part in the grand scheme of things, because she obviously becomes a major plot point. So you have to give every character a 27 plot point arc. You can give them more than one, but they all have to have a minimum of one. This is for main characters and side characters that develop. You don't have to do it for like tertiary characters and stuff like that. As far as the main plot goes, every character can influence the main plot in one way or another, but there needs to still be a main driving force that pushes it through from beginning to end. The reason we do this is so that it doesn't meander or doesn't go off the rails. Because in reality, let's say I have a sister, and we both are sitting in the house, and let's say an alien shows up and blows up the house. My sister survives, I survive, but we wake up in different areas. We're not together. Okay? At some point, right, the story is going to have to conclude, right? So does the brother and sister get back together and they stop the alien, right? Let's say we go with that particular narrative. They both have a 27 plot point outline that's going to develop them as a character, but there's still going to be a 27 plot point main narrative happening despite the fact that they separated. And then that's where you have to figure out who is the POV of that. If we look at Independence Day, Will Smith is our guiding force. Will Smith helps us get through that narrative, but we still go to Jeff Goldblum's character. We still go to the president's character, okay? But there's always a northern star that brings us back through the emotional truth of a character. And it's our job as writers to say, what is the emotional anchor to help drive us through this narrative? Can you have two characters? You can, but at the end of the day, one of them is going to ultimately have a little bit more push, you know? Is it possible to do it? I mean, you know, what is it, Western with 7 people? What is it called? The Magnificent Seven. So the Magnificent Seven has 7 characters that are all important to the main narrative, but one of those characters is the anchor. It helps with keeping the story going. But that doesn't mean you can't give more time to other characters. It's just at the end of the day, there is a main driving force, okay? Luke Skywalker is the main driving force of Star Wars. Harry Potter is of Harry Potter. Shawshank Redemption, okay? Andy, right? Even though, actually, to be honest, there's a name for that kind of narrative. Andy is the main protagonist, but it is Red's story, because it's told through his, because where does it end? It ends with Red. It begins with Andy, but it ends with Red meeting up with his friend. And I'm just glad I got to see my friend. But if you Spider-Man is the main anchor. Iron Man or the Avengers, okay? There's multiple characters in that movie, all right? But there's still a main narrative thread. There is. It's just, we got to look at it. Who's the main narrative thread? You could almost argue that it's Iron Man and Captain America. But at the end of the day, Iron Man has a little bit more of a draw or a pull to that narrative. He is the anchor. And what almost happens to Iron Man? Spoiler alert, he almost dies in the first Avengers movie. Okay? So every narrative, whether it is an ensemble or not, there's always somebody that we anchor to. We can go away from them, but we then come back to them and we're like, hey, did you see what happened? If you watch Ghostbusters, right? It's been a long time since I watched Ghostbusters, but there's 3 main people, and then, Ernie shows up eventually. He was supposed to be in it longer, though, which is a fun fact. But who's the main character in Ghostbusters? It could there could be an argument made for Peter Venkman, because what happens with Peter Venkman? He has a love interest with the woman who ends up. There is only Zod, right? Okay, I am the keymaster. I am the gatekeeper. Okay, but Peter Venkman's relationship leads to the next evolution of the narrative. There could be an argument for Dan Aykroyd's character, right? But you have to just say which one is making choices that leads to the movement of the main narrative. But there's always going to be an anchor. And obviously it's always Groundhog Day. I really hope that helps. But again, just to clarify, that doesn't mean you can't put time into other characters. It doesn't mean that you can introduce a main character in like 5 chapters, and then like in 1 chapter, and then chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is dedicated to a secondary character. Like, you can do that. But at the end of the day, we're always going to find ourselves anchored with the main character. Not great. Yeah, not great is a really more or less not great. We tried that one, but it doesn't pronounce as more or less. But I think that could work because like we can make up the sound we want, so it's more or less, like more or less, moro, yeah, more or less. I think that's really great. Hannah Hart says, I have a book called The Enchanted Crown, a Sleeping Beauty retelling where it has the chapters with a character name as the title. Excellent. It helps with grounding and clarification, so there's no thinking involved for the reader. And the other characters are from the other 3 books are in the 4 books. Hey, that's cool. It's like your own cinematic universe, but in books. Ciabello, salve, Emma, mia amici, Mia Micha. Hey, everybody. All right. Any more questions? Ro, I hope that helped. I hope that helped everybody understand the power of every character having an arc of some sort. You can go a little crazy with it, though. Like, if you make, like a secondary character who, like, is maybe in the book a little bit, but, like, at the end of the day, you give them, like, 7 character arcs, which, by the way, then that's 27 plot points that you have to influence. It becomes really, really crazy. Hello, how are you today? Is that popping up? Oh, there it is. Boop. Hey, The Enchanted Crown is from a YouTube author that I follow, and I liked it very much. Hey, you gotta just be careful with taking other people's ideas, Hannah Hart. It's good to be inspired by ideas, but be careful if you're going to try to copyright and sell based off of a very specific detail. So if you like a story and rewriting that story is one thing, but like a Sleeping Beauty, because the copyright is public domain now. But Bethany. Oh, you're asking about the let's see. Bethany out of the death YouTube. Oh yeah, look at this. Oh yeah. Yes, Bethany. I follow this YouTuber. Let's put her thing in here. We'll give her a nice little shout out. Boom. There you go, Bethany. That's her YouTube channel. Yes. She's like, I think she does mostly business talk, though, right? You haven't been known for using her degree in English with creative writing. Nice. What do we got here? She's I made my books exclusively to Amazon Kindle. Nice. Excellent. She shows you how to make merch. Good. Really great content. Yes, I subscribe to her. She's good stuff. Yep, that's the author. Oh, I'm actually doing my own sleeping. Oh, okay. As long as you're doing it, you gotta always just do your own stuff. It's like, for example, I if I wanted to, I could technically write a book about an alien that looks like a clown, but I can't name it Pennywise. I can't call it It. I can't name the children the same name. They can't have the same arcs. But there can be kids. They can fight them in a sewer. Because a story is, like at the end of the day, there's only 7 stories you could do, and that's ultimately a monster story. You just can't take, because copyright holds the claim to the specifics, not the telling of. So, for example, if I copywritten game instructions, I can't copyright the word D20 or dice. If you roll two 20-sided dice, like I can write that. But what I can't do is I can't call it the D20 system. I think that is copyrighted by Dungeons and Dragons, or in this case was the Coast, what used to be TSR. But or like, you got to roll for initiative. Like, you can't copyright roll for initiative. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just get, because it's a rule. It's every game in the world won't be able to be created because you can't. You roll the dice and then you move your character. Like, you can't copyright that. What you copyright is the specificness of the presentation. So if it says specifically, if you roll 2d10, you can move your character to the white spot on the board of Monopoly. Well, because Monopoly's in there, you can't copyright that exact sentence that ends with Monopoly. And that's just how copyright works. If I wrote the first chapter of Game of Thrones, that's a copyright infringement. If I write a chapter where a kid is traveling with his brothers and they watch his father behead somebody that abandoned his oath for protecting the borders of our kingdom, I can write that. All right, let's see what we got here. She also co-wrote a book series with another author called Madeline, who I also follow on YouTube, and helped her with making book covers as well. Awesome. That's really cool. More or less not great. Oh, yeah, okay, because the A, yeah, more or less. Yeah, that works too, more or less. I also like Mora. Mora in there is a good name. Like, I have a character named Morla. She's the goddess of death. But more or less, that's good. That's a good. Let me jot that down. The Maven War Saga. I got a whole character list I got to keep track of. I like that A. That's where you got me. That A. That A. First names. Where are we? More or less. More or less. There we go. Boop boop. I think I like that. More or less. That's good. More or less. More or less. That's good. Good work. I like it, Emma. Or MBS. More or less. That's good. I like that. What about more or less not great? More or less. Well, the EA makes an A sound in syllables. So it'd be like more A less. Oh, like A less. Oh, but that would be play on it. More or less. I like the simplicity of more, like MORALES. But I do, that also works on it. That has a nice little touch to it. The not great is just so good. The last name is the best part. Cindy, did you upstairs? Let's see. Moro. Oh, you did, but you didn't. I'm just double checking because I'll give you credit. I give credit where credit's due. I give credits where credit's due. Moro Boink is the best friend. I love it. They are best friends. They hang out and play. Catch me if you can. Thank you, Thomas. For what, bro? For being crazy? I know I'm crazy. I'm a lunatic when it comes to my ticks. Fun fact, I want to show you some. I made this thing. There's they make like little 3-dimensional character things. And I had made this little thing. This is a little makeshift design for a character that's in my book world. And I always look at it and I think to myself, imagine this character is real. Like, who would think this was a benevolent God, you know? They'd be like, get away from me. You look so scary. Got fire coming out of your skull. Just saying. Also, my friend got me this where it says, my spirit animal, okay, is pizza. My spirit animal is pizza, and that is accurate. A writer I follow, Caroline Lee, is great at names. Duke of Effengel. Gel. I guess that would be Gel, right? Effengel. Earl of Bone, etc. Those are great, though. Duke of Effengel. Effengel. That's funny. Yes, I thought it was a play on more or less also. Yeah, that's what it is. It's more or less not great. His name is literally more or less it's not great. More or less not great. It's just such a good name. I have to think about like what I'm gonna do with the character though, but I definitely want to put like real time into him. I want him to have the character have substance and not just be like a word joke, Because like even Corgan Mosley, I love that his last name is Mosley. Corgan Mosley is a fully functional and three-dimensional character, but at the end of the day, his last name is Mosley. And it's Mosley. You can't trust Mosley. You can't trust Mosley. Anyway, it is so hot today. Whew. Oh, what do we got? I'm thinking about doing my own POV story, POV, with my character Lily Vera, or Flower Blossom, and her present name Rosanti. Please forgive me if I can't pronounce words. I'm really bad with this stuff. For each character, how many chapters would I do with these two characters? Well, it depends. It really depends. They're the same characters to let you know. They're the same, as in like it's all the same character. Like this is just one character you just named. Well, the main character should have a minimum of 27 chapters. The main character should appear in a minimum of 27 chapters because they should get a chapter per plot point, minimum. You can extend plot points. So plot point 1, the ordinary world, can happen over 3, 4, or 5 chapters with the main character, whereas maybe the inciting incident is a chapter long, but the immediate response to the inciting incident might last 2 chapters. Usually it wouldn't be like that though. And then maybe like their reflection might be 3 chapters, and then maybe whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, the main plot is a minimum of 27 chapters. Now, if you're doing a short story, that's a whole different ball game. If you're writing chapters to be scenes to create a pacing, that's a different story. But if you're gonna like write full, complete chapters for like a long form narrative, like a fantasy or a romance or a sci-fi or a thriller, you would technically try to get 27 plot points out for the main character. So however many chapters you have to do to make that happen. You can play with that. You can have the ordinary world be a scene, and then the second scene is the inciting incident, and the third scene is the immediate reaction, and that could all be in one chapter. So you could try to get away with that. It does speed it up. That usually is what happens in a novella or a short story. But when you're dealing with a long form, like a 90 to 120 word book, you usually are working with a minimum of 27 chapters, and then each character themselves, you would seed into those. So, for example, if I'm a main character and my best friend is a character, that best friend character's plot points would be played out through that first chapter together. Like, we'd be like, hey, what's up? They might get their own one chapter off to the side or whatever, but whenever they're on the page, you have to be moving their plots forward. So, in essence, every time a character is on the page or in a chapter or in a scene, their particular plot arc should be moving forward in one way or another. And traditionally, you try to keep them like you wouldn't do somebody's resolution in the third chapter. Like you wouldn't set it up and act. It'd be like chapter 1, ordinary world. Chapter 2, something happens, and then chapter 3, they're resolved. Because then they're not technically a side character or a secondary character or a main character. They're just somebody that just happened to be there for a week. Oh, I thought it was more or less. No, it was like more or less. Like more or less, not great. Like that's what the joke is. If you look at a map of England, they have great names of actual places like Snoring, Lynchfee. I hope I said that right. Well, England, if you look at any old map or new map, and you look at these ancient worlds, I mean, Egypt as a name is so good. Like it's just Egypt. Like it's just like what? Egypt. I don't know. It sounds without morals. That could have worked. They're the same and the same character part as Flower, blah, and the other is part of the present name, where she doesn't know who she is and grow up to first. Yes, I wanted to. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Add. Whoop. What's going on here? It's freezing. Add my own life into my story. Hey, sometimes you gotta, sometimes you gotta kind of put your own self in there. What area do you live in, Tom? It's 17 degrees here. Chile. Oh, you're in Chile. I'm in the Midwest of the States, so I'm right near the Great Lakes, as one might say. But at the same time, it is hot here. It is hot. I'm not in Boston, but it feels hot. It is 92 degrees today. Oh, that's what it says. Hey-o, what is up, Afghani? Do search on funny and roost town names in England. Yes. Do a search. Do a search on funny names. Let's see. Funny town names in England. Bitchfield, Shitterton. That has become my favorite, Shitterton. Then there's Droop. Oh my God, that is fantastic. There's a town called Beer. Beer is in Devon. That's great. Brown Willie. Come on. That can't be a real name. I can't even say this name, but I am going to copy and paste. And you tell me if you can say this name. This is a town in England. Leon I don't care that I messed that up. There's no way I couldn't mess that up. Crapstone, that's where I'm going to move to. Broken Wind. Cock Fosters. Giggleswick. All right. That's fucking... Oh, sorry. That's perfect. Minnesota. Oh, yeah. I like the rude search. Rude town names in England. Bellend, Sandy Balls, Cockermouth, Broken Wind, Knob End, Twat. Twat is actually my favorite town to have never visited. Those are funny. That's funny. Also, my story is with Egyptian locations as my flower court realms. That's cool. It's always nice to get those real world influences in there, because it just kind of, it's like pays tribute to. But make sure that you also pay tribute to the origin. Cockermouth. Yeah, Cockermouth. This is Cumbria? Yeah. A market town with an 800-year history. Not far from the beautiful Lake District, and once home to poet Wordsworth. However, Cockermouth was not something that he became a poet for. Okay. I live on the east coast of Canada. Hey, Canada. I love Canada. Never eat slimy worms. That's how I do north, east, west, south. North, east, south, west. East coast of Canada. Yeah, that's... Isn't that where, like, the French provinces are? The, whatever. I can't, my brain is going blank. Princess Consuela Banana Hammock. I love that character, by the way. Princess Consuela Banana Hammock. In Wales. Welsh. They're both places. What do we got? There's a lake near me with a Native American name real long like that. Feel free to post it. I'd love to see it. Go out and do search of Luke Evans saying that name. Oh, God. All right, here goes. Luke Evans, of all people. Luke Evans, the Vampire 2000. Oh my God, here we go. Let's see. All right, wait. Let's see if I can. For anyone, I can't. I don't think I could do. Wait. Maybe I can. Maybe I can. 1 second. Let's see if I can. All right, but I'm going to mute my mic once I do because it'll echo. So I'm going to mute my mic. I'm going to share the screen, and we could all enjoy this. We can all. Oh, wait! I got to remove that. Wait, I got to do it. I got to do it like this. Entire screen. Okay, I'm gonna mute my mic. Entire screen. Okay, I'm gonna mute my mic.
I've been trying for 4 months to say that. I can't say. Come on.
I'm gonna mute my mic.
It requires some vocal warm-up.
Karen, can I ask you not to do that thing with your lips again?
It requires some vocal warm-up.
Do it again.
Can I ask you not to do that thing with your lips again?
It's amazing. Do it again.
See, that's what you missed in Cardigan Bay.
Soundbite whispering is go-getter from Robert Fantasy.
Wow, come on.
Soundbite whispering is go-getter from Robert Fantasy.
All right. That was crazy. I think it's still echoed, so I apologize for that. That was crazy. All right. I got to figure out a way to make that work next time. How do I... Wait. Exit. Okay. Where are we? All right, that was funny. Cockermouth. Yeah, that's the best place, really. I hear it's hard living, but people are my titty. This video just went down the hill. By the way, if anyone's just turning in, these are literal places in England. They are actual homes within England. All right. That's funny. That's funny. Very funny. Okay. You got it about right. I'm laughing my head off at these weird and crazy names. You guys, we're not coming up with them. They're real places. Right? Yeah. Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, and Labrador. Ask Alexa what 100 is in Welsh. Oh my. I don't have Alexa, but let's see if Google can do it. Hey Google, what is 100 in the language of Welsh?
100 in Welsh is can't.
Really? It's can't? All right, there you go. Can't. All right. I'll email it to you. Working at the moment. There's the name. Not safe for work. It isn't. This is not safe for work. Norton show with Graham Norton and Guy. Oh yeah. Norton, he's very very funny. I like that. That's the guy with the beard. Hey, what's up, J.K. Lambo? Welcome to the show. We're in silly time. We have a pink lane in Century of Newcastle. Guess why? Is it the birthplace of... I think it's illegal in Wales to use vowels. Probably. I'm currently watching Princess Diaries 2. That's what we should all be watching right now is Princess Diaries. Alexis says it's better. Because it has the accent, right? Oh, funny. It's true. Prosy Central. I like it. Nothing much. Just working on a scene for Chapter 1 of my Pansery Chef Rivals 2 Lovers novel. JK, I'm in. I am in. I want to see that. I do love a good rivals to lovers novel. Not enemies to love, but the rivals. Like, it's just a misunderstanding, but they end up working together. I like that. Please keep me informed of your progress with that. We like to support the writers. In the olden days, I remember the olden days when my back didn't crack and I didn't sit down making noises, stand up making noises, wake up making noises, sleeping making noises. All right. We have Cumming Street in London. That must be a sticky wicky neighborhood. That's what I'm working on. Hey, what are we working on? Did I miss them? Hey, yo. What about a character name with a Garland and Nevada? Nevada? That's the street I live on in Spokane. Spokane's? Am I saying that? Spokane, Washington? Speonk, Washington. Character name with a Garland and a Nevada. Empire, not Nevada. Well, you could always say Garpire. You could say Ire. Actually, Ire is a really good name. This is a good name for anything. If you ever just say Ire, I like that. That's a good throwaway name. It's a good name to use. Cool City Speonk. Lovely. Yes. Oh wait, I already did. Man. All right, what are we doing? 15 minutes until 2 hours. We kicked some butt today. We had some fun. We got through, just for anyone who didn't get to watch today, we did 2 chapters today of the Zero Draft. We flew through those, and I don't know about you, but that's called progress. Progress. What is it called? It's called progress. I felt like we got some progress with that. What else did we do? That's it. We found out that England is filled with very appropriate, safe for work names. Now, obviously, they have to mean something else, right? Like they can't, like Cockermouth or any of the names, rude names in England, like Crotch Crescent, or Pratt's Bottom, or Sandy Balls, or like Beaver Close. Like they have to have a different. Like they can't have the connotation that we give them, can they? Like, was Shitterton? Like, what is Shitterton named after? What is okay? I have to figure it out. Why was the town Shitterton in England named that? There has to be a reason. The name Shitterton, a small hamlet, not related to the Shakespeare, is Dorset, England. Means Shitterton means farmstead on the stream used as an open sewer. Okay. Somebody hated that. They were like, this place, man, it's like a farmstead. We're just sitting on the stream of an open sewer. It's like we're literally in the toilet. I don't know. We should call it Shitterton. Yes, Bob. That is perfect. This name dating back to at least the 11th century reflects the hamlet's historical location near a stream used for waste disposal. The name was recorded in the Domesday Book as Satira or Citra. Citra's not a bad name, according to local historical records. Despite the somewhat crude name, Shitterton is a picturesque place with historic thatched buildings. Well, there you go. Okay. All right. There you go. Anyway. I hit 80 today. Whoa, flowers. 80,000 words. Over the moon, considering all my wobbling earlier in the week. Congratulations. Oh, everyone's already celebrating your successes. And I have to say, 80,000 words. That's basically a full, complete book in the grand scheme of things. That's 3,000 words per chapter on the average if you just kind of... But hey, bear in mind, if you have to keep going, if you have to keep writing some chapters, let it go. Do not limit yourself to the full story, because once you're done writing it all out, that's when the real work starts. That's when you start editing. That's when you start figuring out the ifs and ends. That's where you try to say, hey, what do I need? What do I don't need? So congratulations. That's fantastic. JK Flowers. JK, yes, congratulations, Flowers. Congratulations. Hot love. The legendary shitter. Only the true king can... Anyway, he must sit on the throne. All right. Yes, those annotations are a lot older than we think. They come from medieval era. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But it's still just so funny that someone's just like, Butthole Lane, that's where most people should be living. Because they're a-holes. They're a building on base where I work, and it's called Pig Pen because the men's restroom is very messy all the time. I mean... We do pee standing up, but it doesn't mean we aim. That's the Dingleberry bloke. I don't mean to laugh at these names, but I do mean to laugh at these names. But people live there, you know. You just, there's a town in Illinois called Ephraim. That's a good name. Did Thomas Crapper live there? Yeah, he had a shitty personality though, and but anyway. What is this? Oh, Toileton. Woohoo! Oh, celebrating the 80,000. Yeah, 80,000 words. Don't I know you don't aim as a... I aim, but not very well. You know? I just... Wherever it goes, it goes. My friend actually sits to pee. He says it's easier. He goes, he wakes up in the middle of the night. He can't even open his eyes. He's just trying to do the stay sleeping walk. And he goes, I just sit. It's easier. I don't have to aim. You guys are making me They're making me laugh. Everybody. There's a Uckfield. You got to be careful about Uckfield. Nobody finishes anything there. I knew someone from there. I knew someone from Uckfield. Uckin. I like the word uck, by the way. As in like... Instead of the other one. So, like, you'd be like, uck, you know, like, uckin, yeah, the uckin, mother uckin. Peeing standing up is a privilege, not a right. Touche. I'll be honest, you know, in school, you know, people walk there, you know, when I was in football, people would walk around in their showers and stuff. And I'll tell you right now, sometimes standing up to pee is not a privilege. Not everyone was bestowed such gifts in life. And, you know. That's funny. That's funny. All right. Peeing standing up. Cindy, that made me laugh. I have pee standing up before. I was in my garden and being sprayed with a hose. I was laughing so hard. All you got to do is thumb it and it becomes a hose, you know? Listen, they sell a thing. Don't they sell a thing so women, when they're camping, they can pee standing up so they don't have to squat? I don't know what happened. This is a writing channel. So when you're writing and you want to keep things very consistent with the camping lifestyle, you should understand the practicalities of when to squat and when not to squat, especially if you're in the desert. You don't want a scorpion or a snake lipping up. And also, remember to bury your dumbthounds, when you're in the woods, because you don't want a bear to find you. All right, now I feel like we just connected it to writing. Oh, yeah, the shiwi. The shiwi. Right? Isn't that it? The shiwi? A shiwi. I think that's it. Yeah, the shiwi. Those things are amazing. I had to practice in the shower and went everywhere. Well, you know, it depends how you hold it. You know, if you the Shiwi. Look at these things. These are amazing. Oh my god, why is there... There's actual video of it? I'm not going to watch the videos. But, that's funny. Shiwis. You got your Shiwi! Design fault obvious. Yeah. Oh, you're in for a good time if you purchase your Shiwis. Buy now. Side effects might include herpes. All right. Ask your doctor for a prescription. Okay. All right. I think it's time. This old man called it a day. I'm sweating. I need some food. It's 4 o'clock. I had a lot of fun today. And well, you should be, Hannah. This was a very funny hour. This is the part that makes my day, by the way. I love talking about writing, but at the same time, when we get to just laugh and just let loose and realize that life is so much better with this. It's one is the loneliest number. Yeah. So here. Oh, it's 1 o'clock. Oh, yeah. Because of the 3 hour. The time difference made my goal of sending this class down the tube. Obscuring your face. The beardy is large. Fabulous as always. As are you, Cindy. As are you. We were in the Canadian Rockies when my dad went for a whiz on a very busy side road. When a coyote spotted him, he took off running. Wile E. Coyote can be very scary, especially when he's wearing Acme shoes. He runs faster than the average bear. All right. I want to say first and foremost, thank you for this experience. I really appreciate that we can laugh and have fun and just make jokes. That's really the whole purpose of life, is having fun, finding ways to experience it, and also more or less talk about writing when we can, right? The coyote or your dad? The coyote. The coyote has the Acme shoes, But with that said, all fun must end, especially when the stomach starts growling. So I'm going to say a real quick 1, 2, 3, makearightlefthear.com if you want to check me out, and also please subscribe if you have not already. And to everyone else who's been watching all day, every weekend, again, you make me feel blessed and loved and welcomed, and it means the world to me. I'm not going to ever stop saying that. You deserve it, and I'm grateful that I can give you my time and that you give me your time in return. With that said, it's time to go. I'm Thomas J. Bellezza, and as always, keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next time. Bye.